While the chipmunks are hanging around my house eating my plant starts, I decided to go out in chipmunk country and take their stinging nettle. So this is what I should be doing. This is what we should all be doing. So where I get my stinging nettle, I'll get them deep in the forest, or I'll come by the side of this road. Look at these neat turkey tails. What do you think? Do you think these are tea eligible, or are they too old? The bottom sides look nice. I think I will make tea out of them. This is Siberian miner's lettuce. This is how close I am to my house. You see my house right there. Every day that the stinging nettle are this young, I can get a harvest like this easily for one of my meals. And this is the most nutrient dense food in the world. Why we bother, or I bother, since I live right here, trying to grow plants from starts right now is beyond me. Well, those baby leaves are really bitter. Let's see what these guys taste like. Oh yeah, that's better. Here. These little guys are much nicer. That's slimy. So now I'm going to process this. First, I have to weigh my plant material. It is 144 grams. So I'm going to measure the same amount of sugar. So I measured out my sugar. You're supposed to use brown sugar. I'm using coconut sugar, but don't listen to me because I haven't read that anywhere. Just use brown sugar. So I'm going to put this back in here. And I'm going to pour some material in, put a little sugar on it. So I'm taking turns with the plant material and the sugar. Typically, I will mash this with my hands, but I am not going to do this with my hands. You only need to mash it so much as to make sure all the leaf surfaces are coated with sugar. I have this knife. I'm holding down the plants with this, and then I'm going to cut it with the knife just to break open some of the leaves. And since I'm doing it while it has the sugar in it, it's also doing the work of spreading the sugar on all the surfaces. What do you think about that? Let's see how it works. So tricky part, how do we get this in the container without getting stung. I found these guys. And I also chose a wide mouth jar, so it'll be easier to shove this in. What you could do is layer the jar with plant matter, and then a little coating of sugar, plant, sugar, plant, sugar. So what I might do is, because I see some sugar that settled on the bottom of my pot, I'm going to put some of that in on the, and it's tricky to, it's easier to do this when it's not a stinging plant. I'm going to need yet another tool. Little spoon. If you can see the sugar that kind of settles on the bottom, because it's kind of dark, you can imagine. Kind of ensuring that sugar stays on the bottom of it and is evenly throughout the jar. We continue layering more plant material. Let's do another round of sugar layer. I am going to consume this guy. I'm probably going to consume it more than I use it for my plants. You can see that's exactly how much you want to fill a jar, about 2/3 of the jar. Of course, this is going to shrink, so I'm going to lose that 2/3. Then you can store it. You have to move it to another container anyway. And you want it to be 2/3 of that container. And that's just ideally, it's not a hard and fast rule. So because I want to consume this, I want to very much limit the growth of mold on the top. So I'm going to put an extra coating of sugar on top to seal it. This might be a little overkill, but I don't care. I'm going to devour this. Okay. So here's my coating of sugar. And I'll take a paper towel and I'm going to let it breathe for a few days. What is it, like 5 to 7 days, something like that. Here is an FPJ that I've been draining overnight. But this one I'm not going to consume because this is foxglove FPJ. I've just been letting gravity make the juice drip out. And I'm going to put this in my food waste bucket. And this you want to store in the fridge until you use it. And you want to use it pretty soon before it smells like alcohol-y, anything like that. You could see there was no mold in it. And this is just a regular paint strainer. It's very sugary. I wonder if it would taste better if you were to leave it out and let the bacteria eat more of the sugar. Kind of like how you make water kefir. You're feeding the grains fruit sugar or sugar in the form of fructose, but by the end of the fermentation, there's not a lot of sugar in it because it's been eaten. Perhaps if you gave the bacteria more time to eat that sugar, at some point it would hit a better balance. But that's also what kept it from getting moldy. I can see my lighting is bad, but it's dark outside. Another edible that we get to see starting to leaf out at the end of winter is the Osoberry. So they're already flowering. They actually taste like a bitter cucumber. And I only eat the leaves when they're young like this. Once you've identified an Osoberry, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. Along the road, in different neighborhoods. And actually they leaf out a little bit later on my property than they do out in urban areas. Things are just a little bit later to leaf out in my place because I'm in the forest and I'm a little bit elevated. And the birds or some other critters poop them out everywhere. So I will often see babies in the landscape just pop up. Here it is. Look at this little Osoberry. Isn't that the cutest thing? I have to make a decision on where I want to put him if I don't want him to live here. You can see just over here is another one. And these plants are either male or female, and only the females fruit. Although good luck getting them before the birds get them. Mine all seem to be female, but I don't see how that's possible. The chipmunks are also coming up here and snapping off my brassica leaves. But you can see that if you planted these in abundance, there's plenty for the wildlife and humans. But I would rather give these to the chickens if they're gonna get stolen anyway. Guess I can steal those little ones. And here's one of my volunteer mustards. These are my new volunteer lemon balm. And these are some other volunteer mustards. It looks like an animal has come around to some of my brassicas and snipped off the centerpiece. Also, tick season has started. This is the second year where I've gotten my first tick on St. Patrick's Day. So it's kind of a thing. St. Patrick's Day, tick season starts. It lasts for about 2 months. So sometimes I go out kind of Leia style. So the ticks don't jump in my hair and then live on me during my baths and showers and still mysteriously end up on me at the end of that. Maybe because they're holding onto my hair. I don't know. So this time of year might limit some of my activities, but actually I end up not. I just do full body inspections when I get into the house. Most of the time, vast majority of the time, I catch them before they cut themselves into my skin. Usually I see them crawling. And a couple days ago, I was at my desk and a tick crawled onto my hand. So he announced himself. I got him before he got me. Yeah, it's that time of year.